All right, everyone. We have another house hacker on our hands, and actually a 2X house hacker with Curtis Garner. He is coming on to talk to us a little bit about living mostly on the West Coast area in Washington and house hacking. So, Curtis, welcome to the channel.
Hi, Paul. Thank you for having me. And this is the first time that we've actually met. So
Yeah. Yeah, we've met through Instagram and through mutual channel we both watch, One Rental at a Time. Many people that follow me and follow Curtis also follow Michael Zuber. So.
yeah.
Yeah, so before we get into your house hack, tell me a little bit about you, tell the audience, and how you got involved in real estate.
Yeah. So I'm a teacher. I graduated college in 2020. So if you remember what happened then, it was kind of like unsure. So once I graduated, I moved back home, lived with mom rent free for about a year and a half to really save up because I knew house hacking was going to be the way for me. And I saw my teacher coworkers while teaching is great and I love helping kids. I knew I couldn't do it for 20, 30 years. And so I knew I needed a way out. And my goal is to leave the teaching world by 2032.
Okay. So how old are you?
I'm currently 25 and 26 in next month.
Okay, so I mean, you picked this up pretty young. A lot of people don't want to pick up real estate or even start thinking about these creative ways. They're renting, they're not even thinking about home ownership for the most part. And you figured out house hacking was probably the way to go right
Mhm.
from the get-go with your first property.
Yeah. The only time I've rented was in college. And I actually talked to my landlord then. I said, "Hey man, like what do you do for work?" And he's like, "Well, I don't work. I own most of the rentals around here." I said, "Well, what did you do before that?" He said he was a teacher. So I said, "Okay, I'm gonna do that."
I gotcha. Awesome. So let's just jump into this first one because you have a pretty non-traditional house hack with this first one, and you really live bare bones. So,
Oh yes, that was a struggle, but it beat being at my mom's house, so it's kind of a win-win. So it was a duplex in Tacoma, traditional kind of front back, but the one in the front was a three-bed, one and a half bath. The master suite had an exterior door though. So I kind of sealed off the door from the rest of the house, and that's where I lived. It was under 200 square feet. There was no shower, no kitchen, but I kind of made use of the space and kind of made it like a dorm life again.
okay. So yeah, you talked about that. You not only did you buy a duplex already, so you're already house hacking even if you lived one of the units, but you realize that exterior door, man, I've already done this before, lived like this. I can make this work, even though now I only have a half bath and a room. So
Yeah,
talk about how you showered, man. Like how do you stay
yeah.
clean?
That is always the question. They're like, wait, bath, where do you shower? So luckily at work, I have a shower there because I am a PE teacher. So my office is in the locker room and I have a private little area that I can go in there. And then, or I'd shower at the gym, at my mom's house, wherever I could really get one in is where I would go.
Gotcha. Yeah, so most people are thinking, wow, I really don't want to live like that. But you really put the whole point of what so many people preach, delayed gratification, to the max, living uncomfortable, living below your means. Could you have afforded to live in one of the units? Probably, maybe it would have been tight. But you're like, what if I still rent out both units and live there?
Yeah, exactly. Because I knew I needed to fast track on how I could save. Because when I lived at my mom's house, I was able to save pretty much like 90% of my paycheck, right?
Yeah,
So I was like, okay, well, if I can do that again, then that's going to speed up when I can get my next one.
right. So, and that was 2020 or 2022, you said you bought that, right?
2000,
2020.
yep, 2022.
Okay. And here we are, 2024, and you just closed on your second one.
Yep.
So let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so it's a triplex in Lakewood, Washington, kind of the same area, and it's a single family in the front and then an up-down duplex in the back. I bought it, and the single family was being rented out. The studio was empty. I felt pretty confident to place like a tenant. Well, I placed a tenant, and then the other tenant broke their lease. So trying to deal with that turnover at the moment.
Okay. So which out of the three units, break down the unit size on these three.
Yeah, so the front house, it's the biggest one bedroom that I've ever seen. So I'm thinking of adding like a second one. It's
Okay.
one bed, one bath, but 900 square feet.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
a
there's got
good.
to be another bedroom in there, right?
Yeah, it's just the layout's so funky. I'm just like, okay, where does it go? It's gonna be a smaller one, but that's a problem for another day.
Yeah.
And then the duplex, the upstairs is a studio, and then the downstairs is a one bed, one bath, which is where I'm at right now.
Okay. So you have a full bathroom again.
I I know, and there's always so much space that I don't even know really what to do. I've asked friends like, "Hey, can you come over and give me some design ideas?" It's the most space that I've ever had.
Yeah, so I mean you're like, holy crap, I actually have a full functioning apartment. And now tell me a little bit about this breakdown. You're running out the, well, you're turning over the other one, but once you get that single family in the front turned over and you got the top rented out,
Yeah.
your mortgage compared to what you're living for, are you out of pocket? Are you break even? Like, what are you looking like?
Yeah, so right now, once the front house is rented out, I'll be paying about six to seven hundred like dollars. But once I can reintegrate the room from the duplex, um, all my bills will be paid for, and I'll be back to living for free.
Awesome. So a little bit more money,
Mhm.
fixing it up, realizing the long game, and you're going
Yeah.
to be able to do this again. So
Yep. The goal is this time next year to be hunting it.
awesome. Okay, so I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, where we're a lot cheaper than where you are. So let's talk down payment out by you guys and how much you really were having to save up to, buy these houses.
Yeah, so the first house, it was 3.5% down because I did the FHA one, and
Okay.
which all new people, if you don't have to do FHA, don't do it.
Right.
I really don't recommend it. I didn't know that at the time. So, you live and you learn. With negotiating, I think I only put down like 15,000 on the first duplex, and the purchase price was 440.
All right. So I mean, that's a pretty good entry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for the triplex, the purchase price was 500,000. Had to pay a little bit more. It was like 30,000.
Okay. But because you live so bare bones in the first one, you were able to save up that money to, put down that down payment.
Yeah, and this one was the conventional 5% down.
All right. So I also use that on the duplex I'm living in.
Nice.
Um, Now we could dig into that a little bit because I think when we started hearing about this product, I don't know about you, me, and Matt, the mortgage guy, a bunch of people thought that it was going to take off so much more than it did. Right?
Oh yeah,
It didn't
I'm
though.
yeah, I'm so shocked. I tell everybody about this product, and they haven't even really heard of it. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is your chance to even build even a tiny bit, just build one.
Yeah.
And and I don't understand why people aren't using it more.
Okay. So I'll tell you the biggest reason I'm seeing that people don't qualify for this product, and it's that 6 month reserves that you have to have.
Oh, okay.
So like I don't even know if you knew that when you had that product, but you probably had you when you started with it. But you have to not only be able to afford your monthly payment, get in with the down payment, but after that down payment, whatever your PITI is in your house, you have to have that times six in your bank account.
Yes, I
So
do. I do remember that because we kind of ran into that is because when we were negotiating and the price went up, we were like, okay, where is the reserves going to come from? Luckily, as a teacher, I have a retirement account that they could count towards it.
which helps you, yeah. So yeah, and that's where I think a lot of people that are new in this game, they're kind of more pushed towards that 3.5% down FHA loan. You're paying, private mortgage insurance, but you don't have to have that 6 months of reserves.
Yeah.
So, but either way, I mean, you're, learning this, navigating this, and learning these different niche areas to pick up multifamily houses, understanding the lending environments, what's out there, which, like you said, you're talking to people about this, they've never even heard of this product.
Mhm.
It just seems like the back of our hand to us. Like, how do you not know about this? It's all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. Like, because when I saw the news break, I was like, okay, let's go. This is exactly the
Yep.
break I was looking for because I kept just running into the for FHA, the self-sufficiency test. Or if you went three to fours, you'd have to put down a bigger down payment, and it was just a hassle. So to me, it was like a gift.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit more on this too. You bought these two properties. Now there's inspections and everything that you need when you're on conventional or FHA. Did any of these properties have any deferred maintenance, or did you pretty much come into a property that you didn't have to do much to?
Yeah, so I'll start with the duplex. It was pretty much turnkey. Well, we can get into what happened after I bought it, but it was pretty much turnkey.
Okay.
And then with the triplex, there was a few things that I was like, okay, that's gonna need work. I took the worst unit of the three, just because like, well, if I'm gonna be here for a year, I can slowly kind of fix things up. It's not bad. It's just cosmetically.
Okay.
Um, there were a few things in the front house where it's like, oh, that just needs to be replaced or redone, but nothing major. But again, once you buy it, things can kind of change.
Yeah.
That's happened to me on both houses now.
All right. So tell me a little bit about that. You went from not even having a single family living or in a house, just like renting, and now you're not only living there, owning the house, but you're a landlord. So
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the repairs that you've had to
Yeah.
deal with.
So for the duplex one, oh all I got to do is repaint it and maybe change out these floors. That's it. Well, in the bathroom, my uncle came by. He was like, "Hey, the floor's kind of soft." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, just feel it." And like you could feel. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, why wasn't it like that 2, 3 weeks ago?" Right? And so we tear it up and like it was soft and we had to replace all the subfloor and so that was kind of a bigger project. Luckily, I had help to kind of get that work done.
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of another landlord thing is that when I sealed up the wall and I put the tenants in there, I actually had the tenants from my side and the back side, their dogs fought.
Okay.
And I had a tenant get bit during the process. So that was like scary like moment. You've never seen someone Googling so fast. I was looking up landlord laws. Luckily, here in Washington, I'm not like liable for something like that happens. I'm only liable if you let the dogs stay that caused the fight.
Okay. So what did you have to do to mitigate that or deal with that process?
Yeah, so luckily my tenants were great. Like they called me, they kind of communicated the whole process that the guys whose dog actually caused the issue and did the attacking, he actually wrote them a check for their vet bills
Okay.
and was like really cool about it. He got rid of the dog. And so what could have been like a nightmare was like resolved really peacefully and done well. I know not everyone might have a story like that, but
Good. Good. All right. So let's jump in now to your next one that you just bought, and you said this one needed a little bit more work, or what are you doing with this
yeah.
one?
Yeah, so like in the inspection, there was like a drain line that needed to be replaced underneath the house. Like I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2", like 285. So I'm not fitting my big self under the house to go fix no pipes, you know. So I had to hire out. And then when I bought the house, I knew one of the heaters need work. Well, when the tenant moved out, I realized now both heaters are out, and you kind of have to have heat here
Yeah.
in Washington. So there's kind of expenses like that, or you go to fix one thing, you're like, oh, this is kind of funky, and then you notice like other things as well. So
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Yeah, you walk through the house, you can walk a couple times, and you're always going to find more things once you move in and really learn the house.
yeah,
Um, and now that you have a couple on your way too, and I love the style that you're doing, and I love house hacking especially because we're looking to hold these properties long term, right? Most of us are at least. When
mhm.
you live in the house, you can learn the house and you understand what's going on. So when you leave, you have a lot better idea what's going on in that house.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like learning because I don't really come from like a construction background or anything like that. So I'm still even learning what certain things are. Like, okay, what's this material? Okay, why is that used here and not there, right? So there's a lot of learning there.
Yeah, so talk about some of the like helpful people, channels, people in your life that have just helped you really learn this and push you forward.
Yeah, so obviously ORAT, and then if you know Dion from
Yep.
Dion Talk, so that's been huge because he actually lives here.
Yeah.
So I've gone to his meetup Tacoma FI. If you're in the Tacoma area at all, please join the Facebook group. It's to Tacoma FI, and we meet every month. And there's people there that are brand new. There's people there that have Airbnbs. It's just kind of a meeting ground for people that want to grow and learn, and that's been super helpful because they already know the people in the area,
Yeah.
right? And especially with Dion because he's done it the way that I'm trying to do it as well. He's been really helpful in the process of like, okay, what do I do now? Okay, do I do this or do I do this? And so because kind of having like that mentor is huge. And then as I try to grow, I'm going to different groups. Like I'm now part of the WARE, the Washington State Real Estate Investing Group. And so I'm on their event staff. So I help set up all their events and check people in. But it allows me to kind of get in the door and meet all the other investors in the area.
Yeah. Getting in front of the right people, getting in the rooms with the people that you are doing what you want to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And you mentioned your uncle came and helped you out, so you have some family that's willing to help you with these repairs or understand some of this stuff.
Yes, sometimes he lives his own life, so sometimes it's kind of like hit or miss if he
Yeah.
if he can come. Though if I have a question, I'll just kind of call him because I'm still trying to learn on how much work do I do versus how much work do I hire out, and I
Yeah.
think that's always in the balance.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I scraped like, at the beginning I had to do as much as I could myself, and then once you start building, you realize maybe I can hire a little bit more out here to save my time on looking for the next deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Or it's like, okay, if I mess this project up, what's the worst that can happen?
That too, yeah. Because you could spend some money, screw it up, and now you're paying somebody to fix what you messed up. So,
Yeah. Yeah, like
yeah,
okay, it's drywall. I can probably figure that out. If it's plumbing or electric, if it's an outlet, I can change it. If it's something
yeah,
like major, let me just hire it out so there's no issues.
completely understand. Yeah, there's stuff that I've hired out from the very beginning, and then there's stuff that I can do, and I don't hire out anymore because I have the luxury of not having to do that, you know?
Good. Yeah.
But yeah, I love what you're doing, and so tell the audience, how can they contact you if they have questions, if they're new trying to get into this?
Yeah, so you can contact me on Instagram, PE turned RE, and then you can also subscribe to my channel. I read all of the comments, also PE turned RE.
Yes, and I'll definitely put both of those in the description of this video so people can contact you easily. So before we jump off this, what is the biggest piece of advice that you can, lend to my audience about house hacking, getting started in your first house hack?
To actually start.
Yeah, like I'm ready to buy. I've researched and now I'm like, man, what do I need to do to really get into this? So,
Yeah. So make an offer because there's tons of people that I'm one or two steps ahead. They always ask me for help. I'm like, okay, you have the money. You've been watching these shows, which is awesome. You make sure you educate yourself, but you actually got to take action.
yes, I love it. All right. And I love asking my guests this. We're all learning here. We're all trying to gain more knowledge. What is like the one channel, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube channel that you really enjoy? It doesn't even have to be real estate or non-real estate related that you really enjoy watching.
The one channel that I really enjoy watching is probably ORAP because and here's why because there's people that have come from all different backgrounds all doing it different ways and as much as I love Dion he only does it really one way
Yeah.
and I'm okay that's great but you don't talk about the other ways whereas with ORAT it has people that do burrs that do flips and it really allows me to kind of see the full scope and then from there I feel like I can now be more educated when I make real estate like choices.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and that's one thing that Zuber does great is he brings on guests when it's not something that he's a professional at and doesn't know what's going on. He brings on guests that are professionals in that area. So,
Yeah. And then if you're new and you're kind of like me, you're like, I don't even know like what materials to use or what appliances are used. The lumberjack, Matt, the lumberjack, a landlord, his is great because he gets more technical on like what flooring and which appliances to use and like why. So
awesome. All right, Curtis. Well, I appreciate you taking some time this morning and jumping on and talking about this.
Yeah, and thanks for having me, Paul.
No problem.